yesterday.
Okay, so nobody's getting the truth from the mainstream media, folks. It's well past time to open your eyes, your ears, and your mind. Do your own research because something isn't right here. And if you can't see that, you are not paying attention, folks.
It's the opportunity to forge for ourselves and for future generations a new world order. A world where the rule of law, not the law of the jungle, governs the conduct of nations.
So let's look at each one of these and see how we can get this down to zero. Probably one of these numbers is going to have to get pretty near to zero. Now that's back from high school algebra, but let's take a look. First, we've got population. The world today has 6.8 billion people. That's headed up to about 9 billion. Now, if we do a really great job on new vaccines, healthcare, reproductive health services, we could lower that by perhaps 10 or 15%.
The important message that we need Australians to get vaccinated as quickly as possible. In line with that, I do encourage all Australians to please go and book your vaccinations as soon as you can if you haven't already done so.
Emma, get away!
When we are successful, and we will be, we have a real chance at this new world order, an order in which a credible United Nations can use its peacekeeping role to fulfill the promise and vision of the UN's founders.
Okay, we need to stand up against this tyranny, folks. Stop giving away your freedoms and liberties because the more you give up, the more these people will take until you have absolutely nothing left. That's their agenda. All right, good evening and welcome to another week of absolute madness, guys. That's it's just going to be all about two parties. We know that. It's going to be about Dutton and Albo. That's it. All right. So we got to put our heads down. We got to work on other strategies. And yeah, well, I've no doubt be talking about them this week. But because, guys, yeah, look, you know, these floods in Queensland, you know, they're shutting down abattoirs left, you know, right over left. Okay. They're just getting rid of them. And now they've just knocked off another 1 million head of cattle in Queensland. Like that's the numbers we're hearing, guys. It's just insane. It's just all, you know, but it's all about the two-party preferred, and that's all they're going to tell us. So, all this shit they're talking about in the elections, why couldn't they do this 3 years ago, you know, when they first got in? It's just, you know, now it's everyone on the news everywhere. If you're over 18, you've got to enroll, you've got to vote. Like, they're pushing hard. They know what's going on. Terry White Chemists advertising on telly, guys, for kids to come and get their flu shots. So I think you know what youth feel about that. That's all Terry White Chemists, okay? Their whole chain is asking children to come in and get flu shots. So I think, yeah, I'll leave that with you. All right, I will just leave it. Because Albo, he's saying today in a stuff up, because they all lie. They can't remember what they're going to do. Say whatever they can to get out of it. But Albo's saying he will do a deal with the Greens if that's what it takes him to get power. Unreal. Whilst we got a Chinese ship dropping subs in the water down south, you know what I mean, and doing whatever it wants to do. I mean, this place is just an absolute, like, shit show, guys. All right. Now, we got hardly any of these left, guys. Owner of Port Pirie and Hobart Smelters make a pitch for government intervention. Right, they have to make a pitch for it. The government intervenes in, you know, Papua New Guinea's rugby team by 660 million. No, they can't intervene to look after, you know, a couple of steel smelting places. Like, They're just going to close everything down, mate, whether it's Albo or Dutton, it doesn't matter. Chinese spy ship carrying submarines spotted off Australian coast. Well, apparently it's been over near New Zealand as well, doing stuff over there. Urgent health warning is the outbreak of contagious diseases. So they're ramping up everything, guys. This list here, whoop, sorry, what have I done there? This list here actually goes, I don't know what I've done. Yeah, here it is. This list contains, just let me get in behind me. Measles will rise. Dozens of exposure sites listed. Well, we're telling you it's going to rise. I reckon it is. Urgent health warning issued among fears of disease outbreak. So, again, guys, they got, trying to scare everyone. They got a salad thing going now where the salads are no good, from which they are no good. But anyway, now they're telling you they're no good from Woolies and Aldi's, and they covered all three. So, they got the big one in there too, Woolies, Aldi's, and Coles. And, I think that was it. Maybe a bit of IGA too, I think they could have been. But anyway, all recall. But that's just scare tactics, guys. There's probably nothing wrong with the produce. All right, Kazza, when you're ready, darling, come in and we'll get this shit show on the road, because that's all it is when I look around out there. Absolute shit show still.
Well, the thing is, our people are really doing stuff. So, sorry, when I brought this one in, it looked like it was up the right way. It's not. But go, Franco.
All right, so Franco and Belinda went into after Monday at Maggie's today, they went to the ABC guys, had no luck there. Then they went to the AFP, and how'd they go there? To the AFP? Don't know. Okay, so anyway, they'll be coming on during the week, give us an update. But yeah, they're out everywhere, guys. They're just troopers, mate. Every day they're out hitting somebody. Witness statement. So, yep,
Well,
let's do it, guys.
That's right. And this is from Charles McKenzie.
Well, look at this, everybody. We're live. Outside of New South Wales Governor House. It's gone past 11 a.m. And look who we have here. We've got everybody, the usual crew, who come here to hold the New South Wales Governor, Margaret Beazley, to account. Isn't that right, Brendan?
That's right, brother.
He's here for the Governor. We're going live. Everyone's watching us. Get ready. We're giving you another. The corporate governor's getting another serve. Guess what we found out? The corporate governor is the patron of the Australian Red Cross. Okay, she's part of the cover-up of the infected blood scandal. Hi, how are you? So everyone's gathering today. We've got Lee.
Look, we'll leave it there. But another thing that's come. Look, I've been told from two different sources now that the immigrants that are coming in are having their rent, all of their rent, paid for by the Red Cross. And she's sitting on the board. Like, is this what's going on? This is the question I've got.
Yeah, of course it's going on. The more that it just gets unraveled, Coz. It's just incredible, man.
It's just outrageous. So, all right, now, Keep the Sheep, they've also been doing a great big protest over here.
Yeah. The truck.
Yeah, it's 3 months.
Good on them.
Yeah, no, they're doing really well.
Yeah, keep the sheep. I like me lamb. Yeah.
That's it. Now, the big news over the weekend, of course, on social media, not much was played by the mainstream media, but we expect that, was this guy here.
Million immigrants in 5 years is going to increase demand on the medical system. What about the fact that people my age can't get any housing, we can't get rentals anymore, we have no future in this country anymore? Don't you think that's kind of ridiculous? No? You can't touch me, mate. You know.
Become a hero. You're a legend.
He's an absolute legend. Now, of course, they basically the Western Australian ran that he was a
5 years is going to increase.
They called him a Nazi straight away. This is this guy's response. Let's have a look at this.
The Prime Minister of Australia. I've had multiple mainstream media outlets not only use my full name, but use this picture here to try and defame me, basically, and turn me into some sort of undercover NSN member. So I thought I'd just make a quick video explaining this photo, giving it some context, just so you know my relations to the organization, etc., etc. So first off, I'm not involved in one political organization, okay? I don't attend any kind of meeting regularly. I'm not part of any sort of like mailing list or whatever it may be. I'm not part of that, okay? I want to do my own thing. That's why I started my own platform, okay? So I'm not part of any organization. I'm not interested in joining any organization. But this photo though, so this photo was taken last year in December because I was in Melbourne for my friend's birthday party and this event was happening at the same time. Now, I've been watching Blair and Joel for a couple of months now, and you know, God forbid I find some young Australian men interesting for talking about the most prevalent issue of our time, immigration. So I went to the event to kind of document what was happening, and nothing was really happening. There was a small event, a couple of speeches were given, but it wasn't really, you know, newsworthy. It wasn't really worth making a whole video about. So I thought, screw it. I've come all this way. I'm meeting these guys who, you know, are sort of notorious and infamous, and you know, whatever happens to them, they're going to be, you know, marked down in the history books one way or another, whether it be like, you know, in jail forever or whether they're vindicated, I don't know. But I'm going to take a photo with them, surely, because I'm here and I don't really care. And I also thought, you know, I'll probably never see these guys again in my life. Like, I don't go to Melbourne very often. I live in like Queensland. So when in Rome, just take a photo. So I took a photo, and that's about it. I thought it was gonna be private. Blair posted it. I was like, whatever. I don't really care that much. Not a big deal. And then yeah, the mainstream media has just taken that completely out of context, not explaining, you know, what I've been trying to do over the past couple of years in politics. Mainly talk about
That's how they do it.
My first video, the first video I made on my TikTok about immigration, I was talking about how my co-workers who are immigrants even feel screwed by the system right now because they're bringing in so many people.
Straight up, this immigration shit in Australia is crazy.
Now, he's absolutely 100% correct. Do you know how many immigrants have complained and have said to me, oh, Australia's so expensive, we can't afford a house. And even they're complaining. It's like, because they came here for a better life and they're not actually getting it. It's too much, like it's costing them too much money, except if you're a special class. And then apparently you've got somebody else paying your rent for you.
Yeah, because how did the media get that? Because that's what they do, people. They get people to go and search and dox people. Oh, that's how they work.
Yeah, but it gets better. Look at this.
Just a couple of other things finally. Some protesters yesterday disrupted both Anthony Albanese and Peter Dutton's campaign events, and apparently security protocols are going to be changed. Are you concerned about this? Will it change campaign planning?
I'm very concerned about this, David, because it comes in the context of the federal police saying that threats to parliamentarians and other high office holders are the highest they have ever been. And it means actually police have to divert significant resources to protecting politicians.
We'll leave it there. Yeah. This is from 1943, guys. Listen up.
1943, the following directive was issued from party headquarters to all communists in the United States. It read, when certain obstructionists become too irritating, label them after suitable build-ups as fascist or Nazi or anti-Semitic, and use the prestige of anti-fascist and tolerance organizations to discredit them. In the public mind, constantly associate those who oppose us with those names which already have a bad smell. The association will, after enough repetition, become fact in the public mind.
And there you have it. So we have China. Let's just take stock here of what we've got. We've got a massive problem with housing. Okay. We've got the Chinese warships going around Australia in our waters. Oh, actually, probably they wouldn't come into our waters, but just on the edge of our waters. You've got Trevor Loudon's book claiming that Albo is a lifelong communist. You've got Dr. Li Yan, who claims that Penny Wong is a bloodline communist. You have people like this. Now, Ben Fordham's actually become a cooker. Or so it would seem.
Yeah. We're conspiracy theorist crazies, you know. Ben, 2 years ago, I tried to give you a few topics you could talk on, mate, but nah.
Yeah, but like he's running with the headline, we're being robbed blind. Income tax, fuel tax, vehicle registration, stamp duty, payroll tax, land tax, capital gains tax, fringe benefits tax, Medicare levies, council rates, insane over taxation. Not only have you got that, you've also got
And now
this.
they take you that much, and then they take all your national parks off you, so you can't go and visit them.
Yeah, so the thousands of Australians are at risk of losing their homes as the rate of people severely behind on their mortgage rose up by 75% in the last 2 years. Okay, and so you're absolutely dead set right, because we're paying now. At this stage of the game, we'd actually have more freedoms in communist China, it could be argued, because they don't have all of these taxes, and everywhere you go is free. It's considered public property. So, like, locked out of Kakadu, locked out of Cape York, locked out of Lake Eyre.
There's 70 of them. Unbelievable.
Oh. Hang on a minute, I've just lost my... Well, this is not uncommon, isn't it? I've just lost my ability to...
Mouse
on.
I've just lost my mouse again.
So, yeah, all bodies on, guys. That's it. They're locking you out. They're taxing you down. All right. You're shutting you out of all your national parks. I think we put it out 72 or 74 in 5 years. Okay. And I think the majority, probably 70 of them, since 2021 or 2022. Yep.
That's it. Now, there's also this, which is actually very telling, because these figures, guys, this is in 2023. Now, we've had 1.8 million since then. So you have 27 million, you have 18.8 million that are Australian born, 8.2 million foreign born, that's 30%. 13 million foreign born or have parents that are foreign born, that's 48%. You've got 14 million Australians that had both parents born in Australia. We're the minority. We're getting to be the minority.
Yep.
This is from 2023. It is the idea, exactly. And then you have situations like this where, now, how did this happen? Interesting, isn't it? So she only received 1,681 votes. That's less than 0.1% of all votes. And yet she holds power in the Australian Parliament. I know people that actually got more votes in council and didn't get on. How is this possible?
Selected for a reason, not elected for the majority. That's the way it is, guys. It's unreal, man.
Well, it wasn't just Albo. It was also Dutton that was bailed up.
Country is going to cook our country. Why are you lying to the Australian people about the cost of nuclear? No more gas to domestic life.
Well done, guys. Well done.
Well,
ask
somebody
questions.
That's exactly right. It should be what the Australian media is doing, but no, they don't do anything like that. You know, you can't possibly ask a question. That would be just too much. And now they're kind of gaslighting us, because what they're doing is they're saying that, oh, Albo's leading in the polls. Well, that's because the polls always say, oh, the two party, which do you prefer?
There's only two parties in it. They just, whoever they wake up that day and want to put in front of the poll, that's what they do. Neck and neck, guys.
Well, Madison has Madison King, somebody that I like a lot, has come out with a pretty good strategy.
Federal elections for 2025. Let's do it. 1. Vote below the line. Voting above the line means you're picking a party, and they get to pick where their preferential votes go. Voting below the line gives you the option of where you want to put your votes. So 1, you put Madison King, and then fill out all 12 boxes. This doesn't matter what state you're in Australia. It's the same ballot. Secondly, the most important part, keep Liberal, Labor, Nationals and the Greens Party off the ballot paper, because lots of voting scrutineers have informed me that what they're actually doing is going down the page until they find who's above who, as in, is Liberal above Labor or Labor above Liberal? And they will count them as the preference. And just as important, take a black pen with you. We are not living in the 1920s, and our electoral office needs to get with the program. And last, please, people, put your hand up and volunteer to become a voting scrutineer, because the WA election has taught us a lot of things that went wrong this year.
Went wrong?
Well, and a lot of people don't even know that, you know, it went wrong, guys. Look at the reaction on Sue Ellen the other night when she was watching those votes get taken away. She was like, wow, she never knew this stuff. So
No,
anyway,
I know.
we've got stuff going to Sue Ellen and Clive, and they'll come back to us, guys. So, all right.
That's it. Now, somebody that's been a lot of the news is, of course, Billboard Chris, and he's actually, he's just basically had this interview after today.
Been helping stimulate the Victorian economy, particularly the legal sector. It was a bit of a lawyer's day today, wasn't it?
Yeah, for sure. It's a bit mad. We've got, I guess, 12 lawyers there and probably more sitting behind the e-safeties team.
12 lawyers.
So a lot of money being spent on legal work, but hopefully we set a precedent for freedom of speech, freedom of expression, freedom to call a man and a woman. Because right now the censorship in Australia is all going in one direction only. It's going against the people who tell the truth about transgender insanity.
Yeah, I totally agree, and the Libertarian Party absolutely supports the recognition of biological reality and, of course, is an ardent defender of free speech. I think, unfortunately, the reality is we've seen with the E-Safety Commission, they're spending Australian taxpayers' hard-earned money on lawyers and appeals and not their own. So, unfortunately, they don't have those same incentives, and they're just sort of throwing good money after bad.
Yeah, I think they have a $41.5 million budget now, up from $11 million. I think it was $42.5. And what are they doing? This E-Safety Act was originally put in place to protect children from things like sexual exploitation online, a noble cause we could all get behind. This, of course, was a Trojan horse, and what they're doing today is just censoring people whose opinions they don't like.
Absolutely, absolutely. And
Yes, that is exactly what they are doing.
Yeah,
that is exactly.
Got him in Queensland, got him in Melbourne. You know, they're just like, yeah. The malls run the joint, mate. Yeah, you can't do anything unless the mall says you can do it.
Yeah, no, it's outrageous. Now, I don't know who has cut this together. I'd give them credit, but it's brilliant. And I'm going to play the whole lot. It's called No Confidence.
The Governor General, a ceremonial corpse, a hollow relic dressed in power but stripped of purpose, sworn to defend the Constitution, to uphold the rights of the people, yet what have they done? Nothing. Corruption festers like an open wound, infecting every level of government, draining the lifeblood of this nation, and these spineless bureaucrats stand idly by, watching it spread. Where were they when our rights were stripped, when laws were bent to serve the elite, when democracy became a theater production run by corporate overlords? Where were they when Australia's wealth was sold off piece by piece, when foreign interests took precedence over the very people who built this land? Where were they? They had the power to intervene, to uphold the rule of law, to call out the blatant subjugation of the people, but they chose to comply. Instead, they let Australia be hollowed out and sold to the highest bidder. They watched as the country descended into a playground for parasites, where billionaires hoard wealth while working people fight to afford food, where the elderly are discarded like obsolete machinery, where children inherit a world poisoned by greed. And now, they fund genocide. Billions of our dollars handed over to Israel's war machine, fueling mass slaughter while Australians starve. They won't fix our broken healthcare system, won't house the homeless, won't lift the boot of systemic oppression off the necks of everyday people, but they will feed the fires of war. This is treason. The Governor General is nothing more than a rubber stamp on the crimes of the state, a gutless custodian of a nation being bled dry. And we are done tolerating it. We see the lies, we feel the betrayal, and we will not be silenced. Governor General? A spineless figurehead. The Prime Minister? A corporate pawn. The entire federal government? A parasitic machine designed to keep us enslaved. They swore to serve the people, to uphold the Constitution, to defend our freedoms. Instead, they sold us out, every single time. Corruption is not an accident. It is the system. Laws are written to protect elites, not you. The economy is built to trap you, not free you. And every time we speak up, we are censored, silenced, or crushed. Enough. We demand a no-confidence referendum. Not just on the Prime Minister, not just on the Governor General, but on the entire federal system that has failed us. We will strip away their false legitimacy and take back what is rightfully ours. We are done with a government that fuels war, suffering, and division. We are done with a government that props up corporations over communities. We are done with a government that treats life like a battlefield. Because if this is a battlefield, then we know who the enemy is. It's not the people. It's not the workers. It's not the ones struggling to survive. It's them. The politicians, the bureaucrats, the corporations that dictate policy, the warlords that profit off blood, the entire rotting structure that keeps humanity in chains. No more. We, the people, demand change. We demand justice, and we will be heard. The time for hoping is over. The time for action is now.
Wow. So whoever cut that together, they did an excellent job.
Yeah, they did. Done a really good job of it, actually. Yeah. Yeah, look out, guys. There's a bit of mayhem coming. I don't know how much is going to come here, but be awake for it, But yeah, the States and a few other places are going to see some crap coming down.
That's it. All right. Look, we're nearly at half past, so I'm going to bring on the flyers. So this is what we've got coming up for this week.
And the Mondays at Maggie's crew is calling for tools down. It's time to stand together. A corrupt and tyrannical government is crushing industries, stripping freedoms and silencing voices. This affects every worker and every business. New South Wales under a corrupt government. Enough is enough. We won't stay silent and we demand action. So join us every Monday at the Governor's House in Sydney at 11 a.m. And a reminder to contact the offices of Chris Minns, Ryan Park and Paul Scully. They are invited to come on the show Stop the Rot, Sack the Lot and have a debate with Dave. And Rocco is hosting an Election Day barbecue, 12 noon, Saturday the 3rd of May 2025 at Ewan Park Barbecue area. And in Victoria, we have the following events. In Melbourne, gather at the Governor's every Saturday to end the tyranny. 10 a.m. every Saturday at the Governor Gates. And join the Justice of the People in Melbourne every Sunday at 4:30 p.m. for a remembrance at the Shrine of Remembrance, lest we forget. And Billboard Chris will be in court this week. The hearing room is 5.06 at 15 Williams Street, Melbourne. In Canberra, every day for over 1,000 days, the freedom fighters have been protesting at the Governor-General's. To join in, meet at the National Rock Garden at 10 a.m. to expose the 28, or tune in on YouTube at hashtag expose the 28. And there is a court call-out on Wednesday the 9th of April 2025 at the Capitol, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the High Court of Australia, Parks Place, Parks, ACT. Two very important cases, Rod Cullerton about being able to travel between states, and Dr. Pearce is challenging the validity of the Public Health and Wellbeing Act in Victoria. Dan Tilda's Designs has a special of $10 each for his t-shirts. Postage is 2 for $15 and 3 for $18. And check out Dan Tilda's new t-shirt designs featuring the QR code, the event number of the witness statement documentary. And backed by popular demand, there will be a second screening of Witness Statement on Saturday, the 12th of April of 2025 at Nanango Cultural Centre on the corner of Drayton Streets and George Streets, Nanango, Queensland. Arrive at 11:30am for a 12pm lunchtime film start. Daily prayer space is held on X at 3pm. So whatever you're facing, come along and we can lift you up in prayer. Every day, 3pm on X. Melissa 146233923.
down in Victoria, guys, I'm just waiting for an updated flyer, but Greenie and the boys there got sacked the unelected Casey Council CEO, Glenn Patterson. So that's also happening, all right, but I'm just waiting for the updated flyer and we'll get that into the bundle. All right.
One of the really good things about this election is you've got regular people just standing up. And here's a guy that his name is Craig Garland, and he's standing for Braddon as an independent for Braddon in Tasmania.
Care about our health. They do not care about our communities. The lockstep nature of these two major parties is absolutely disgusting. It really irks me. If it's not self-evident to everybody by now that Liberal and Labor have sold out, they are totally beholden to corporations and corporate interests over and above the community and those they are paid to represent. If they're not going to represent us, get the fuck out of that place down there.
Sorry about the swearing. I did know it, but I just a bit too slow to rip it out.
Yeah.
And like the other thing too. Now I want to actually make a comment on this, but I'll just make a comment at the end, because it's like I've seen people going, "Oh, we'll talk about it in a minute." Okay, look.
The biggest issue is debt. And I was just saying this earlier today, 50 years ago, most people had their house paid off by the time they're 40. By the time they're 45, 50, they'd have a bit of money in the bank, right? So had COVID come along 50 years ago, a lot more people would have told the government or their employer to shove it. We've got enough to get through this. But today, 40% of people retire with a mortgage. That's up from 10% in 1992. Nothing controls people more than debt. Because even though the government, a lot of people can see through all the government lies and spin, but can they do anything about it? No, because they've got a job, they've got bills to pay, and by the time they do that, not only does one person now have to do it, two people have to do it. So in 1985, when Paul Keating lifted capital controls, the four major banks had $8 billion in foreign debt. By 2008, they had $800 billion in foreign debt. That took the house prices from 4 times average earnings to 12 to 14 times average earnings. That meant two parents had to go back to work. That then invented the childcare industry, right, which means we're losing control of our children. Then, after that, we then had the Button Plan. This was to help, bring down the car industry in South Australia. We let our manufacturing go offshore. 40 years later, we've now got people that, whereas once upon a time, a lot of, like I said, in my year in 85, I was in grade 10. Half the people that I started grade 8 with had left by grade 10 because they went and got trades. By the time I finished grade 12, I probably finished with, one class out of 4 that started in grade 8 chinchilla.
All right. Look, I've seen people saying, "Oh, we can't lose this or we can't lose that," if you vote for Dutton and whatnot. The debt is just so out of control, and we don't have a right, even though they've put us into debt and we're paying it off. People are actually like bandying around these things. Like, we don't have a right to put the current debt plus a debt for us onto our children. It's really important that we start in conversations just correcting people and go, no, this is the government that has done this. We do not have the right to do this. It's a further enslavement of our children. One of the things that I've included in tonight's lineup, throw it over to you in a minute, Dave, is how they found Saddam Hussein by remote viewing. Whether you believe in the psychic ability or not, it's irrelevant. It's a bit of a science, okay? The military and futures technologies they put a lot of money into it, so you don't have to believe in it. They believe in it. One of the things that is striking is that the level of hate that the future generations have for the current generation. So it's really important that we just really wake up people and say, no, we don't have the right. This is just, it's not right. Because I can see some people are just, they just don't seem to get it. Oh, did the petition work? I've got it here, actually. This is the one for Billboard Chris. I'll pop it in. Somebody's just sent me a message. There we go.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, so look, go, Dave.
Yeah. So it's all by design, guys. It's exactly what it is. But if you want to get anything done or you want to really find anything, and you just mentioned, the old CIA asset Osama bin Laden. But 60 minutes, guys. They can find anyone. It's not a problem. They'll get the interview.
That's it. All right. So here's the thing on remote viewing.
Guys, let me tell you the craziest story that you've never heard. It's how an elite team of remote viewers actually discovered Saddam Hussein when he was hiding. This story is going to blow your mind and change everything. This remote viewing mission was done by Stephen Schwartz, who's one of the most famous and credible remote viewers in the world. Okay, before we get to the real juicy stuff, I got to read you this quick story, but this is amazing and it's super important, so follow along, okay? On April 9, 2003, shortly after the American invasion of Iraq, Saddam Hussein had been president, was deposed, and went into hiding. For the next several months, in spite of one of the most intense manhunts in history, his whereabouts remained unknown. On November 3rd, 2003, an applied remote viewing experiment was carried out with the explicit purpose of locating and describing the circumstances and conditions of Saddam Hussein's whereabouts. The experiment took place at Edgar Cayce Organization headquarters in Virginia Beach. I, Stephen Schwartz, was teaching a workshop on remote viewing as part of a larger conference. Check out the people that were in attendance at this conference, dude. Russell Targ, Harold Putoff, Ingo Swan, James Spotterwood, Paul Smith, Skip Atwater, who used to run the Monroe Institute, Dale Graff, as well as Edgar Evan Cayce, his youngest son, and the most carefully documented remote viewer in history and psychologist Henry Reed. It was a unique conference, never again duplicated. It attracted a large audience of 500 people, blah, blah, blah. Turns out there was a number of individuals from the military and intelligence world, since Virginia Beach is close to CIA and Langley and DC and everything, okay? Now check this out. At the end of the conference, I put on a 2.5-day workshop on remote viewing, and 64 people self-selected to attend, both men and women. They ranged in age from early 20s to early 70s. A number of them self-identified as active members of the military intelligence community. Okay, so after this historic, amazing conference, he does a 3-day remote viewing workshop specifically aimed at finding Saddam Hussein, and finds out that most of the people in attendance of that workshop that were actually doing the remote viewing were military and intelligence officials. It gets so much crazier. Check this out. So here are the findings from the remote viewing. So this was one of the drawings that they did during the remote viewing. You can see the trees on the side. You can see the elevated building there. This is the actual house that was located near where Saddam Hussein was found. Here's another remote viewing note. Beneath an ordinary looking house, it is on the outskirts of a small village near Tikrit. The house is part of a small compound. It is bordered by a dirt road and by a nearby river. Okay, the house can be, they even talk about the tree next to the house, and here's where they found everything. So what they do is they give you the remote viewing information, and then the post-field work accuracy assessment. That's done by the intelligence agency after they had found Saddam Hussein. So we're going to compare these two, and it gets crazy. Watch. So the remote viewing hypothesis, they said Saddam Hussein has a hiding place. It is like a cavern or a carved out space. It is not visible but hidden underneath something. Breathing is possible in this small hidden space because there's a vent tube built into this buried hiding space. Very specific. This is even the drawing. As we know, of course, he was found hiding in like a tube underground with a vent tube, okay? Here is his appearance. They say Saddam won't look anything like he normally does. He looks like a homeless person. He will be dressed in dark clothing. He will have a ratty, unkept salt and pepper beard. His hair will be wild. His appearance will be disheveled. Nailed it. They're crushing it here. It's like they're watching a movie and just describing it. Let's keep going, y'all. At the time of his capture, Saddam Hussein will have only 2 or 3 supporters with him at the time of his.
All right, so it just basically goes on to say how accurate it was. Now, Inanka Swan, if anyone's read his book, he's a very famous remote viewer, and so he was incredible. He was used a lot, but actually he was military. So anyway, just important to be aware of that sort of stuff. So yeah.
They got a lot of technologies. They're using a lot of technologies, and we need to find out about a lot more. And we will.
That's it. But we're all over something like this, and this is a PSYOPs. And just a reminder, because they're starting to ramp it up as far as it goes with all of this election
use
stuff.
Coordinated messaging to reinforce a narrative. So look for phrases that feel copy and pasted. And the moment you hear copy paste phrases, that is a PSYOP.
I will immediately bring prices down starting on day 1.
That ain't true. That's what you just saw.
That ain't true. That's what you just saw.
That ain't true.
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 Since day 1 of Donald Trump's presidency.
Since day 1 of Donald Trump's presidency.
Since day 1 of Donald Trump's presidency.
Prices are up, not down.
Prices are up, not down.
Prices have gone up, not down.
Prices are up and not down. Prices are up, not down.
Prices of groceries, gas, housing, eggs.
Eggs are getting more expensive.
eggs. Oh, and by the way, eggs, more expensive.
He's letting Elon Musk take a chainsaw.
He's letting Elon Musk take the chainsaw.
He's letting Elon Musk take a chainsaw to vital government programs. The Republican plan is simple.
The Republican plan is simple.
Families lose.
Families lose.
Families lose. Families lose. Families lose. Billionaires win.
And billionaires win.
Billionaires win.
Billionaires win.
And that is the truth.
And that's the truth.
And that's the truth.
And that is the truth.
If you see that shit going down, you need to be very terrified that something's going into your brain that doesn't belong there.
You ain't kidding. They're unreal, aren't they? Very well programmed.
They are. But there is something happening as far as the Great Awakening goes. I just wanted to play this one really quickly, and that is people are waking up. Now, this is a British environmentalist exposing the climate scam.
I've been a supporter of green energy and a keen environmentalist since my 20s. My office is solar powered, so I was mortified to discover that a single lithium mine causes millions of tons of waste every year laced with sulfuric acid and radioactive uranium, polluting the water supply for 300 years. Not to mention the unacceptable human costs with child labour to mine cobalt. When I researched which solar panel to purchase, I did not for 1 minute consider it would be made by people trapped in razor wire enclosed labour camps, being exposed to large quantities of quartz dust which causes silicosis. Please note that the Ethical Consumer Organisation report that it is hard to avoid forced labour in the solar panel supply chain. Wind turbines, which last about 20 years, consume a colossal amount of resources and energy to manufacture and install, not to mention the blight and bird kill. They require diesel engines to start them up and then gallons of oil to lubricate, and they can't readily be recycled. Solar panels are also extremely difficult to recycle, costing more than the production of the panel, and lithium batteries pose steep challenges too. Add to that the human suffering, which we've all unwittingly been part of just by owning a laptop or mobile phone, which is minimal compared to what's required for an EV or solar farm. These so-called green or ethical solutions aren't solutions at all. Just very good marketing from the $1.5 trillion a year climate change industry. That's $4 billion a day, by the way. None of us can undo what's already been done, but what we can all do is make sure this doesn't escalate exponentially with fleets of unnecessary EVs and acres of solar farms eating up our precious farmland.
Well, what do you say?
Yeah, I know. That's good.
Yeah,
It's good.
I saw aerial photos of Kosciuszko today. What they're doing down there is just atrocious, mate, in the Kosciuszko National Park.
Yeah,
Just
no, they do that.
absolutely atrocious.
Yeah, no, they do that. So because I think somebody who's a greenie one time explained it to me. So what they do is they put a road through there, or they put a strip through there, and then it's no longer considered native land, or no longer considered. And then they can basically start mining it and doing whatever they want to do with it.
Yeah, well, they're in down there, mate, right across the peaks of the hills, just like cutting it out. It's crap, man.
And yet, if you try to do something in your backyard, the smallest thing, you'd be in trouble. All right, so we're being taken out by Jag Talk's uni party. So, Dave, if you want to wrap up or close the show, that'd be awesome.
All right, guys. Well, yeah, we've got a few things to do, but we're as I said, we got some stuff gone out. We're just waiting for some. We're going to wait for some replies. If we don't get them, which I'm sure we will, we'll get back onto it. But I think the takedown this month, guys, has got to be on the Mockingbird media. All right, I think we need to flood them with the witness statement. All right, and let them know that we know that they know that. Yeah, we know that they know, and they're all full of shit. So they've been our biggest thorn in the side, guys. So let's have a think about it. Let's get our emails loaded, ready to go, and let's go and smash out the mainstream media, because they're smashing you every day of the week. They're smashing your loved ones. All right, they're smashing your children's future. All right, by going along with this absolute bullshit. All right, Ben Fordham, you probably need a copy of the witness statement. I wonder whether you've got one. Happy to come on and chat to you, Ben, and yeah. enlighten you. All right, guys. Look, thanks. Great to be here with you for another week. Okay, let's just get in, get going, and get done. Because these guys are done. We just got to push. Come on.
No, guys.
Night.
Good night.
We walk the streets and we all raised our voice, shouting for change, but we only have the illusion of choice. The party's divided, but their game's the same. Labour or Liberal, they're only different in name. I'm not voting Labour, I'm not voting Liberal. The truth is they're both full of shit. I'm not voting Labour, I'm not voting Liberal. Aussies have had enough, we're over it. They promise the world, but deliver shit. Election promises, we don't believe any of it. The government keeps spending, they can't get enough. Jobs for their mates, more snouts in the drop. I'm not voting Labour, I'm not voting Liberal. The truth is they're both full of shit. I'm not voting Labour, I'm not voting Liberal. Aussies have had enough, we're over it. We've seen the deception, we've heard the lies. So listen up, here's a word to the wise. Things stay the same if you don't change what you do. So wake up Australia, your kids are counting on you. If you vote Labour or Liberal thinking the trouble will pass, you need to remember that they're both cheeks on the same arse. They don't care about your job or the price of rent. They're a uni party with a bloody difference. I'm not voting Labour, I'm not voting Liberal. The truth is they're both full of shit. I'm not voting Labour, I'm not voting Liberal. You've both Dutton and Albo are both fuckwits. So hear us now as we raise our voice. We're sick of the two parties and the myth of choice. We want representation that's fair for